This video is going to be my reaction to the Ravens' 41-24 win over the Green Bay Packers in Week 17 on the road on Saturday night. It's a very difficult game to try to encapsulate. A ton of mixed emotions, I'm sure, for a lot of Ravens fans in terms of what we just watched compared to the fourth quarter meltdown from a coaching standpoint that we witnessed last week in the disappointing 28-24 loss to the Patriots, a game that we blew another double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. There's some difficult things to say concretely moving forward about this game. Is this a sustainable play style against some of the better teams we would face in the playoffs? Absolutely not. It may not even be sustainable next week against the Steelers, although we do generally have a pretty good amount of success running the football against our front. I'm just going to give you a list of thoughts here to pour out. First of all, I'm recording in an unfamiliar location. We're visiting family over the holidays, so I'll just try to get this one done and out late Saturday night. Look, first of all, Derrick Henry, he's still one of the best running backs in the NFL. That should have been obvious to anyone already. 216 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, a must-win game, obviously, without Lamar. He's approaching 1,500 yards for the season. At this point, 16 touchdowns for the second year in a row in Baltimore. 1469 on the ground, I should say, to be precise. I do think John Harbaugh called some of these plays tonight. What percentage, I don't know. I would guess 50% of the play calls we saw tonight were either from Harbaugh directly, or they were what I would call Harbaugh offensive concepts, basically a reliance or over-reliance on power, especially in short yardage situations. Or perhaps Harbaugh's just directly suggesting things to Todd Monken. I could be wrong there. I'm not someone that tends to give John Harbaugh credit, just flat out. But I have to be direct and intellectually honest here with you and say that I think Harbaugh had a big part in running the football so much with Lamar Jackson being out. We're very conservative, even on third downs, right? Henry converted, I think, 2 or maybe 3 third downs in the second half on the ground. Having said that, and I do agree with people in our Ravens Discord who've kind of expressed this thought already, it makes last week even more frustrating. The Patriots were not stopping Derrick Henry. We stopped him. For 14, and to compare that, for 14 minutes during the third quarter tonight, the Green Bay Packers were. Now we went ahead 14-7, 17, and then 20-7, and then finally 27-14 in the first half, right? But here's Derrick Henry's runs, his first 4 runs in the third quarter. This is as we had to punt with our opening possession of the third quarter. 1 yard, 4-yard gain, 1 yard, and then a 5-yard loss where Roger Rosengarten gets beat really badly by Inagbare. Green Bay goes down and scores a touchdown. I think it's the second touchdown for Malik Willis on the ground on an option keep. Really undisciplined night by our defense. That should be obvious. And then Henry doesn't get anything accomplished early on the next possession. We go back to him, however, on a 3rd and 5, and he gets 9 yards. I think that's the one where Huntley either checked into the run play, it's a split zone concept, or our call all along was that split zone read to Derrick Henry, and Huntley just did a really nice job of selling it. I'm not sure. But in any case, it was the very next snap after that one was the last play of the third quarter. That's the 30-yard run by Henry. He almost scores down the right sideline. I'm not sure who made the tackle for Green Bay. I'm pretty sure that it was a safety. Henry was almost gone. But my point is they had held him down for much of the third period. And then we still went back to him. Compare that to last week. New England didn't even have to stop him. We did it ourselves. Tyler Huntley also made a pair of really nice plays on that drive. This is the possession that bridged the third into the fourth quarter. It finishes with his lone touchdown pass, the one to Flowers. We're 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. It's a 3rd and 8, and we're on Green Bay's 10. Huntley didn't have to do much tonight, really, to be honest with you. Just don't turn the football over. Make some plays with his feet against man coverage. I really think Huntley was taught this week, hey, if you see man free, you get back there to the back of your drop, look for a lane, and take off running. It's a coverage that you really can't play against Lamar. And tonight, Huntley, I think, had 3 runs, I should say, on scrambles that were not designed. He also had 2 quarterback draw plays, one of them that hit, I think, for 21 yards. But this throw to Zay Flowers was great, man. Green Bay's threatening a heavy blitz, and I think they end up post-snap dropping a couple of guys out. Flowers beat, I think it's Carrington Valentine. It's like an out, maybe a speed out. And then once Flowers controls the ball, because Huntley got it to him quick, he stretches out into the end zone. That's the touchdown that makes it 34-24. Earlier on the drive, Huntley had converted, I think, a 3rd and 5, or maybe it was a 3rd and 4. A scramble, once again, against man free. It's a 4-man rush. Quay Walker takes the running back, and the middle of the field is just wide open. It's just absolutely wide open, and he converts it. I think he goes for 12 yards. He saw things, open up. That one was huge. That play was huge because that's a 3rd down from their 35-yard line. And it pushed us into, at least, at minimum, I should say, a high percentage field goal. And at that point, it's 27-24, and we just have we've shown no ability to stop Malik Willis at all. He finished the game, I think, 18 of 21 passing, 288 yards, the two rushing touchdowns, also a passing touchdown. Our defense just extremely undisciplined. Coverage standpoint, Nate Wiggins, awful football game from him. I didn't think Kyle Hamilton looked really connected on a number of routes. Roquan Smith, to me, and some of our zone coverages, is the guy who looks like he's in the better position to defend things. Marlon Humphrey got absolutely torched multiple times tonight. And all of this they were able to accomplish without any run game from Josh Jacobs to speak of at all. That's what makes it even worse. Look, to the point when Malik Willis goes out, Green Bay is averaging 9.7 yards per play. I think it's 34-24, the ensuing possession after Huntley's touchdown to Flowers, where Malik Willis completes like a 7 or an 8 yard pass to Christian Watson. It's in front of Wiggins, and it just seemed like to me everyone was beating Wiggins tonight. Humphrey as well. He shouldn't be excluded here. Anyways, Willis completes that pass, which is his 18th, and then exits. It's like a recurring shoulder injury, apparently, from last week against the Bears. 2 plays later, they're back up to the backup, third stringer. Clayton Tune, I think, is the guy's name. He throws a ball that deflects off Bo Melton's hands. And then, of course, it's Marlon Humphrey who settles under it. I think he's got 4 interceptions this year and maybe 2 forced fumbles. I don't know if there's any talented DBs that that aren't on an NFL roster, but if so, we should probably all contact the Ravens and try to get these guys in the building. I mean, no one, the only guy that I see in consistent connection with receivers on a pass play is Awuzie. And then the second piece of that, I know that some people aren't going to agree with this, the guy who seems more capable of coming downhill and tackling on zone concepts completed in front of us is Alohi Gilman. I just don't trust Wiggins or Marlon at all at this point, and I'm even noticing more things about Kyle Hamilton as the season's gone on that I'm not a huge fan of. The one to Wiggins that frustrated me was Bo Melton. Beats him on a slow-go route. It's 3rd and 2. Bo Melton's a converted DB. He's playing DB and wide receiver in the NFL. That route was not any good at all, in my opinion. It's just really maddening to watch Wiggins play at this low of a standard. Humphrey, like I said, was no better. He was a sieve early on. The one I want to make this point. The guy who, at least to me, is covering the best throughout the entirety of the season for the Ravens secondary is Awuzie. And he's also the guy who spent the least amount of time here other than Starks. Awuzie signed as a free agent. Marlon, of course, has been here for a long time. Wiggins is in year 2. And both of those guys, lately anyway, in particular tonight, awful. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Bo Melton, all of those guys combined with Malik Willis to go 18 of 21 from a catches to target standpoint. We were really fortunate to get those 2 turnovers in the first half. The second of which is the snap that hits Willis in the helmet, right? That leads to a field goal by Tyler Loop to put us up 20-7. Earlier, the one that we obviously deserve a lot of credit for is Green Bay's second possession. It's a 4th and 1, and Roquan is in like a solo inside linebacker alignment. He goes over the top of a combo block. Great read by him. And then Tavius Robinson also disrupts it right at the point of attack. Those 2 guys should receive credit for the tackle, well short. I think it's Josh Jacobs, well short of the line to gain. That one made it that one led to, I should say, us getting a field goal on our 3rd drive to make it 17-7. This was after Henry had opened the game with a pair of touchdowns. Both of our initial drives were 13 plays. Henry scored from 3 yards out, right, and then he scored from a yard out, both of which were on power concept. The kick out block by Ricard, backside guard pulls and wraps, and Henry follows him through. Sometimes Henry's great at cutting it back, to be honest with you. At the time when at the time when they turned the football over on their second possession, the 4th and 1, the failed 4th and 1, where Roquan and Tavius make the tackle, they've run 6 offensive plays, and we've run 26. The time of possession tonight was completely one-sided, basically 2-1 in the Ravens' favor, which is crazy to think about because we've had games against the Bengals and other teams lately where we couldn't control the time of possession. The time of possession stat is actually cut off for you guys at the bottom of the screen there. My apologies, but I think we were plus 40 and they were sub 20, so a little bit over 2-1. I can't help but thinking, to be honest with you, that the offensive strategy tonight, the over-reliance on Henry, is a reaction to last week, where not only did he not get the football on our last 2 offensive possessions, but he wasn't even on the field. This should end any speculation, clearly, that he was hurt, or like one idiot said in one of the comments last week, that Henry didn't want to be on the field. It didn't want to be in the game. Him and then Malik Willis were the best players on the field tonight. Huntley did play admirably. We have to mention that, right? He had some nice scrambles against man. A lot of underneath or quick passing concepts, really not much down the field. It seemed like when he saw man, he just took off. The 2 quarterback draw plays were really nice calls. I think it's in the third quarter. I think it's in late second quarter when we're trying to drive down there. And again, that's a play concept that I think kind of gives us an indication that John Harbaugh was heavily involved in the offense tonight. Huntley finishes 16 of 20 passing, a very pedestrian, about 5 yards per attempt for 107 total. So nothing to brag about there, but no turnovers. That's critical with this play style. I do think, and I have to mention, he had 2 poor throws down in the red zone. So the first one is the third down pass that technically it's listed as a pass to Flowers. I think it's to Bateman. I think it's to Bateman coming back in, kind of like towards where the left hash would be, down in the end zone. It was immediate pressure, though, on Huntley on that particular play. I think it's a 3rd and 4. Ronnie Stanley got ran over by Van Ness. I think Voorhees is losing as well. Maybe we picked up a stunt a little bit better on the right side, but I think Linderbaum was involved with Falele for a moment. So, I don't exactly remember what the stunt was there, but the left side of the line totally destroyed Ronnie Stanley and Voorhees. And the throw, I suspect, maybe I saw the jersey number wrong, and maybe it is actually to Flowers, but it's behind the receiver. We're fortunate because I think it hits Green Bay's DB in the hands first. But that one could have given us a 21-7 lead. Also a possibility that maybe Huntley could have scrambled there. I think it's man coverage. But in any case, the other throw that I think was poor or didn't really give us a chance to catch the football, I should say, is after Green Bay's second turnover. It's 17-7 at this point for us. This is, the fumbled snap that hits Willis in the helmet, and then we get the ball, right? It's a little bit less than 5 minutes left, I think, in the second quarter as this throw occurs. It's a 3rd and 9. We're at the Packers' 16-yard line, and Huntley is targeting Hopkins. It's man coverage. The throw is just too far up the sideline. It's physical coverage. I think it's Nixon there. Huntley needed to give Hopkins more of a chance. Both of those throws, in my opinion, illustrate the limitations that we have with Huntley in the game in any situation where the run game isn't working, short term or long term. I guess I'll just parlay into something that I'm sure has been mentioned on social media. I've seen it twice already before I even began to record this reaction video. Anyone who is on the trade Lamar and or roll with Huntley the rest of the way train, they need therapy. Or they just plain obtuse and they've been anti-Lamar all along and just waiting for these type of opportunities. If those are the types of people that are they're really not Ravens fans. Number one, they're probably impersonating them online. Number two, national TV analysts like Mike Florio, Eric Mangini. We should use air quotes when we call him a football analyst. Anyone like that, they've just been, Mike Preston as well, they've just been biding their time for any level of failure from Lamar and or the Ravens, and then piling on him to the exclusion of John Harbaugh, the offensive line, the front office mistakes that have been made, which are numerous in the past year plus, in particular our drafts after the second round. I'm going to move a little bit to the defense, but there's really no point in me talking about it a whole lot. And I'll look at the film that, once it comes out on Sunday. There's nothing to talk about. Zach Orr has no ability to call a defense given the context of the game. Nothing like other NFL defensive coordinators. Better than me and you and anyone who comments on this video? Sure, of course. Far better, right? But it's not our job to call defensive plays against LaFleur or next week against Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers. The layers to the game that happen over the course of 60 minutes, we're just not able to keep up with. We don't put our guys in position to cover effectively. We certainly haven't taught the ability to match formations and line up to things. I think we get outflanked often on the defensive side. The first option play is a prime example. The first option play to Malik Willis, the touchdown. Marlon bites on it heavy. The safety bites on it heavy. No one plays assignment football at all for this defense. We just react with our eyes. And if 2 or 3 or even 4 guys all react to the same key, the give to the running back, sure, it's a long ride from Malik Willis. Like, if that's all that you can say, that Malik Willis put the football in the running back's gut for a long time, and that's the standards you have for defense, guess what? You've never coached against good option football teams because that's what they're supposed to do. We're very poorly coached, undisciplined, cannot play any level of assignment football, the types of things that you can teach 11-year-old kids, because I've done it. In my opinion, wanting this team to get faced up against some of the better offenses that we'll face in the playoffs is really foolhardy and immature, in my opinion. I just don't have any confidence in this staff to get things done against good teams. Granted, at one point this year, the Packers were, right? They were a good football team. They were without their starting quarterback tonight and a significant defensive talent, to be honest with you. Nate Hobbs goes out during the game. Micah Parsons, we all know this, well documented. He's out for the year. Devontae Wyatt, exceptional defensive tackle. They had another starting defensive tackle, I think Riley, go down during tonight's game, or a starter at least for them tonight. Really compromised defense that we faced for the second week in a row. Am I downplaying Henry's performance? No, we went out there and handled business, right? But 2 of the guys they had in there at D-tackle tonight did not handle the run plays well. Now, granted, Lucas Van Ness played awesome. So did Xavier McKinney. I think he had 13 or 14 tackles. He was spectacular at times. Ronnie Stanley really got up on him, McKinney, on the touchdown run. The last touchdown run, the 4th one by Derrick Henry, to really salt the game away. I don't really think that Travis Jones for the Ravens, I should mention him. He played exceptional. I think he had 1.5 sacks, had another pressure. Their tackles for Green Bay consistently over the years, they hold. They hold a lot, but they're really good at not getting called for it. I don't know that it would have mattered tonight. We're so lost in coverage. I can't sit here in good faith to you and say that I have confidence we'll cover anyone, except for the right-hand side of the field, where Awuzie lines up. Wiggins, Marlon, even Hamilton at this point, I'm not sure that I can tell you that he's playing anywhere near his talent level and what we've seen before. The difference is, as far as those 3 guys go, Marlon turns the football over, at least in 2025. Wiggins doesn't do so consistently. Wiggins did have the pick against the Bears earlier this year. He dropped a potential game-winning interception last week against the Patriots. We have had to, flipping back to Huntley for a moment, we've had to rely on him multiple times this year. Last week in the second, third, and fourth quarter against the Patriots, he got the win for us against the Bears earlier this year. I said this multiple times in 2024. I said it during the offseason prior to this year, and then I've said it during the regular season. I do not think this offensive line can handle a 17-game season without multiple breakdowns and inconsistencies. You did see a little bit of that tonight when the run game was finally stopped. Again, the first time we had to settle for a field goal to make it 17-7. Huntley's got immediate pressure off the left side. Generally, that pressure occurs from our right-hand side. I do wonder if on that particular play, it's really this simple. Linderbaum slides to the right to help out Falele, So we're able to handle a stunt a little bit better than we normally do. That could be too simplistic of an explanation here. Look, the reality is Rosengarten had some really bad reps against, I think it's Kingsley Enagbare as well, in 2 pass pro situations, and then a run play for Henry that ended up being a loss of 5. I'm really not surprised that Lamar's had to miss games this year for injury. We got a piss-poor offensive line that we've put out there. Granted, we got things done with the run game tonight. The Packers were without Wyatt. They're without Micah Parsons, a second D tackle. Hobbs left the game as well as another corner, Kamal Hadden. I think a safety got injured at some point but stayed in the game. My point is, we had a Hall of Fame running back that we finally relied on against a team, missing multiple defensive starters, 3, 4, I think it's 3, whatever, and we gave Henry the ball 36 times. Question for you. If we gave Derrick Henry the ball 36 times last week against the Patriots, what do you think our record is right now? I think last week against New England, he goes for 180 to 200 yards, 2, 3, or maybe 4 touchdowns, and we're probably 9-7 at this point instead of 8-8. Look, New England was missing one of their best D tackles in Milton Williams, right? And also their best inside linebacker, Robert Spillane. I get it, it's that time of year, right? It's the 16th or last week and now 17th game of the year. I'm glad we got a win here, but I'm not going to sit here and reflect glowingly on what it took to get this done and how long it took for the Ravens. John Harbaugh, let's say he called 80% of plays tonight, and that's why we were so conservative. Maybe, that's why we were relying on Derrick Henry. What do you want me to do? Praise him for that? He's in the 18th year of coaching this team. It's fucking week 17. Shouldn't a head coach in year 18 at the NFL level, so should it take him 16 or 17 games to recognize this? I'm just not in the position to sit here and praise that and say that it was a great decision by Harbaugh. What took you so long, John? And look, it's not sustainable. We can't run Henry 36 times a game. Harbaugh even said that himself when we brought Derrick Henry here. We didn't bring him here to carry the ball 25 times, and then now here we are, giving him the ball 36 times against a weakened Green Bay team, doesn't have their starting quarterback, and it worked, right? We can be glad about it, and I am, but we can also be direct and honest at the same time and say that at minimum we could be 9-7 if our head coach, our offensive coordinator, our offensive staff had the brains to commit to this approach, last week in the fourth quarter and at other times during 2025 and even 2024. On the Lamar front, I personally couldn't care less if someone looks at this game and says this is proof that we should move on from Lamar and keep John Harbaugh. I'm totally in the other direction. I think you're a complete fool if you look at tonight and think that we're going to be able to run the ball like this to this degree consistently without Lamar on the field to help out from a gravity standpoint. It's not sustainable over the long haul. Can Derrick Henry handle it? Sure, he could. He's that good. He's a Hall of Famer. He's as good as it gets. By the way, and I don't really enjoy doing this type of thing, when we signed Derrick Henry before the 2024 season, some of you and a lot of Ravens fans downplayed it and minimized it. I'm going to go back and link the 2 videos that I did leading up to that point, saying that it was the best free agent signing of that cycle. And I think that Derrick Henry could handle a 30 carry per game output over a 3, 4, 5 week stretch during the playoffs. If we have Lamar healthy and we have a competent offensive line and an average to above average defense, could we beat any team that's out there in the NFL? Absolutely. The problem is we don't have 2 of those things that I just mentioned. We don't have a defensive coordinator or a defensive staff or a scheme that is going to hold up against some of the better offenses in the league, number one. And number 2, we do not have an offensive line that's going to be able to execute against teams that are still presenting 9 or 10 or even 11 of their defensive starters this late in the season. I will say this about the Steelers game. If they're unable to get past the Browns tomorrow, this type of matchup could be in our favor. We did run for 217 yards against them last time, right? The game that we lost 27-24. I really don't see anything out of that Steelers defense that tells me Now, they did play real great against the Lions on the road in terms of stopping the run. They nearly forfeited the game or nearly gave up the lead later in the contest. In fact, St. Brown, did score a touchdown when they called an illegal pick on Isaac Tesla, the rookie. My point is, we could use this play style again next week with or without Lamar Jackson, keep ourselves in the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers because they're not great against the run. And I think we're the more talented team than Pittsburgh. And I've said that for 2 or 3 years, but credit to their organization and credit to their coaching staff. They're good at what they do, which is win those low-scoring, physical-type battles where they don't turn the football over. We're just going to have to beat them at their own game, and far too often, we just have been unable to do so. In any case, if you guys enjoyed the reaction video, albeit one that was filled with negativity on my end, even though we just went on the road and beat the Packers 41-24, if you look out there at the talent that the Packers had on the field defensively, and then globally, not nearly the same group that they had, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago that looked like they were going to be in contention for the number 1 seed. And in this case, they're barely going to get in as a wild card. If you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section, number 1. Number 2, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy my thoughts, as well as some of the key plays and the reasons why we were able to play this conservative style, and make it work, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.